No direct announcements right now, but we do have a display at the Bonobo Winery on Old Mission Peninsula, our member display. So I don't know what's going on here.
There we go.
There we go. Okay. But for all those out there, hope you had a great Easter. And if you get a chance to go out to Old Mission, stop at Bonobo and see the display.
Yeah.
Dave Fox did an excellent job of putting that together. And from the pictures I've seen, it's excellent. So with that, and got a lot of good programs coming up, and hang in there. Enjoy good weather. Beautiful. Take pictures.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Dave,
Oh,
are
let
we
me-
going to
let
have
me-
a get together?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Right now, it's not confirmed. We're sort of tentatively had something for the 29th. Is that a Sunday? My phone will give me the quickest. Or wait,
That's a Monday.
25th. We're considering the 25th. And, but the thing right now is with this surge in Michigan with the new variant, we didn't really want to put anything in stone yet. I was going to talk to Jill the end of the week and then try to see if we were going to say yay or nay and then actually have a reception, but we would do it Sunday the 25th from 2 to 4 or something like that.
Okay.
Or it could be 6. I mean, it may just whatever their open hours are. And if she's going to supply some hors d'oeuvres or something, then I'll put a time in there, like if they were going to have something out at 3 o'clock or something like that. But so we'll see. But right now, we hate to put anything in stone because the state health department might, throw some restrictions on all of a sudden again. So let's hope not. People
Yeah.
are getting vaccinated and everything's hopefully going to turn around.
Or if we could do it on Saturday, the 24th, that would be good too.
Yeah, she was hoping we would do it a Sunday because things slow down a little bit. Friday and Saturday are their busiest days right now.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
real busy
Okay.
because people want to get out of downstate and they're coming up on the weekends to, people have been cooped up.
Yes, they have.
So,
Okay.
but I wanted to do it so we'd have a 2-week notice and I could get something out to John Russell and then maybe even some kind of a press thing so that the, local press and everything would be notified. Some people may want to go see it that are just the general public and know it's
Okay.
there. So,
Thank you.
yes, thank you.
Jay, do you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell folks that we're going to have a discussion group meeting, hopefully on Saturday. Last month didn't work because I was in the UP for some reason. That Zoom didn't like that. But I'm going to be home this Saturday and we'll try to make that happen. It'll be 9 o'clock Saturday morning to 11. One other thing, I don't know if you can see this picture, but I was in the UP for a couple of days and stopped by Brevard Lake. I was actually looking for ice, but these are 2 sandhill cranes. The first I've seen this year.
Wow,
Yeah.
So
nice.
nice to see them coming back.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Andy, anything on the programs?
Well, this month's program, am I on? I am. This
Yeah.
month's program is going to be Robert DeYoung, Northern Michigan photographer, just published a book. And a lot of the people who know him have been raving about him. I haven't had the opportunity to see any of his programs or his work. So I'm excited to learn something new from somebody who I have not personally been following. So it's supposed to be a good program. And everyone who's talked about him and even in the consortium we're working with, it just raves about him. So if you have the opportunity to make that meeting this month, which is next Thursday, I believe. Double check because I don't want to be wrong. Yeah, the 15th, my mom's birthday, tax day, which has been extended a month. Robert DeYoung is going to be putting on a program, something you're not going to want to miss, from what I've been told.
Very good. Okay, well, our two panelists tonight are Steve Engle and Andy Marek. So as soon as I can share my screen here, we'll get started. Well, I've got a new computer, so I have to, unfortunately, I didn't know this, but I have to Zoom permissions. Sorry, Bob.
Fran, can you give me a water?
I see Steve's got his backdrop or background of Meet Tonight's theme. Way to coordinate, Steve.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, yeah. Very good.
Can you all see my desktop or not?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, no,
There you go.
Yeah.
It's starting now. There you go.
Okay. And bingo. How's that? And here's our first one. And Steve, I think you're up with this backlit window by Ed Crippen.
I am. I was really impressed with this. It has a lot of good detail, color. Usually with light, artificial light at night, the color is usually too warm. So the technique used here to adjust the white balance was a good technique. I think this makes a really cool abstract image. But I thought it had a lot of negative space with the black at the top and the bottom, and maybe it could be cropped down just a little bit. Maybe make it look a little more panoramic. Would make it a little more interesting.
Thank you.
Okay. Then next up is Night at the Lake by Mike Eldridge.
I absolutely love the exposure on this image. I feel like I'm right there and ready to light a little fire. Sit back and enjoy all the sounds of nature on the lake. It just takes you right to it. Now, this seems a little bit, the exposure seems a little bit off of my computer now from what I saw in the original. This seems a little bit brighter than the one I had seen. The Milky Way was a great capture. Little bit of star trails, but not real bad. Which a lot of times I run into it when I'm taking a night exposure. I let that go just a little bit too long, get some star trails. But this isn't too bad with the exposure on there. And the one thing is, I wish I had a little bit more detail in the trees. You lose, but then again, you lose that with the long exposure. It's kind of a trade-off of what you do. Do you want to get some of the more detail because of the movement of the trees, or do you want to get the exposure like this one is? And I wonder if you weren't to do two different exposures and stack it and do the trees and the house and the lake, and then the night sky is a different one. So you had two different shots there to get that, where you could get the detail of both. Might be something to play around with to do that. But I absolutely love this image, and I could see this hang on one of my walls.
Great. Okay. Oh, and just to say so, tonight's critique is going to be shorter than we've had for a while. There are 30 images instead of the sort of 55-ish is where we've been. And next up is Blue Moon by Jay Peterson.
Boy, Jay, I really like a silhouette like this. The moon shining through that tree is very picturesque. With the tree being silhouetted, I really wish I could have seen a little bit more detail in the moon, but it appears to be a cloudy night, and that obscures the moon. So when you look at it, you could say, well, it kind of looks like the sun shining through there, but just the color of it makes me think it's the moon. I think this image has a lot of theatrical mystery to it. It makes me think of vampires and bats and such.
Good one.
I like it, Jay.
Yeah, it was a sort of a hazy night. That's why the moon looked a little fuzzy, and it also brought out the blue reflection off the moon around it. So hence the title.
Yeah, some things you just
Thank you.
can't avoid, right?
That's right.
Okay. Next up is Buddha by Mary Ellen Sullivan.
I like the choice to do this in black and white. I think it really sets the mood for this image. I love to see the little Buddha, little dodging on the Buddha down below, make him pop a little bit more. I mean, I had to kind of search for it, but there it was. I love how the big Buddha is lit. I think the lighting on that is just perfect. Get some shadowing, some highlights, some contrast in there to really make the bigger Buddha just pop out. Great job on this one. I like, even as you look around the image a little bit more, you see some of the details in the back, like the closed sign in the window and the blinds. You can see the detail of the blinds. So it's a really well done image. It shows a lot more detail once you let your eyes wander around a little bit more to the image. Once you get away from that big big focal point of the Buddha. So great job on this. I love it.
And the next one is also Mary Ellen Sullivan, Butcher Shop.
Boy, I thought this had a really super technique. It's not easy when you have mixed light sources. It looks like incandescent light or LED light underneath, and you got fluorescent light on around the edge, and it don't always come out looking so nice. The details, like in the dark areas, like above the window, you can see that there's an image that looks like it's etched in the glass. So the black areas still show details, and the bright areas where the light's shining on the building look like it still has details. So it's a really good exposure in that sense.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I had to say about it. As I looked at it, I wondered what I was supposed to be looking at. What was the picture just about it being a deli, or was it about the lighting at night, or just what was the image about?
About the lighting at night, because it was so dark out. There's no street lights or anything nearby.
Okay.
But it's over in Morro Bay, and I was driving down the street trying to see what I could photograph, and I like the blue.
Yeah.
I love this shot. And if you look, I like the address 911. Every time I see that number on a house, it catches my eye.
Just noticed that.
Didn't have a tripod with me, but it was my monopod and f1.8.
It is a great exposure.
Nice work.
1.8. Wow.
Yeah.
1.8. Yep. 1/25.
Nice.
One thing I would have done is I'd have snuck those garbage cans out of the picture.
I liked at nighttime. You don't want to do a whole bunch over there too, because there were some people walking down the street and I was by myself. So it's ISO 400, just trying to practice at nighttime with a low ISO. And
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, there doesn't appear to be much noise, if any, in this.
No?
Okay. Next up is Cleared for Landing, Dale DeVries. Like this.
This is a Dale DeVries picture. Just kind of little different, little creative. I love long exposures and when you can get creative with them. Ghosting is one of the things I like to play with, but I often forget to do when I'm out in the middle of the night for the hunt for the stars or for the whatever the main attraction is. And Dale did a great job with the light here and catching Neowise in there. I think he's pointing at Neowise. I'm not sure. One thing that I really noticed about this was how sharp the picture of the stars were and how you got the reflection in the water real nice. One thing I'd like to see is maybe a little bit more black in the sky, or a little bit less exposure to kind of help that star in that night sky show that it's a night sky. Some of that could be because of the light pollution, going to be harder to pull that down. But I just like to see a little bit more look like it's a night picture versus, it looks pretty bright like it was caught in the day, other than the fact that we see the stars there and the dark shadowing.
Okay.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah. Next up is Comet Neowise by Cecil Thomas.
Very good, Cecil. The adding of the trees added a lot of interest to the image. However, it looks like it was a windy night that night. You kind of got some motion in the trees because you have to have a longer exposure to get the image that you got. That longer exposure, though, helped you get more of the tail, that some of the definition in the lighter areas, or should I say darker areas, parts with less light in the tail. So you did a really great job with that. You did a good job with the white balance because the sky doesn't look too warm and it doesn't look too blue. So the composition, you have a really nice diagonal line in it. So I really like that also. You did get a little bit of star trail, but that's really irrelevant in this image. The only way you'd really notice it is if you blew it up really big to put on a wall. Good job.
Thank you, Steve.
Better
Okay.
than mine.
Next up is Fishtown Night, Bill Mumford.
Bill, I think this is a great choice going with the black and white again. For some reason, I'm really liking the black and white tonight with the night images. This is one image that when you look at it passing, you just go, wow. And it's just a stunning photo. I love the sky. And of course, who doesn't like to see a little joy at night? Now, as I start looking a little bit longer, a few things started to jump out that I would consider changing or playing around with in post. And the first would be the building and the sky is a little bit more exposed than I'd like to see to complement the shot. It just, my eye keeps getting drawn to the siding of the building and the white in the sky, the clouds or whatever the wisping is there, kind of draws my eye away from what I think should be the main subject, which is of course joy there. But as we learned with Joe Edelman, what I think you're trying to do and what you're trying to take away or create may not always be the same thing. So take with what I say with a grain of salt. The sky, I think, would be amazing if you add just a little bit more black or drop the exposure just a notch. You know, sometimes just a real minor change can make a huge difference in how that image will look. With the sky, it appears there's some star trails developing, but they're very, very minor. I love how that, I mean, that's about as close as you can get without it taken away from the image. So that was a great job on the stars. And one of the things that I talk about or I think about when I'm shooting night sky and trying to get stuff like this, using a tripod and getting a couple of different exposures and doing some exposure stacking there so you can get the different exposures to show the things you want, because sometimes that gets a little tricky when you got some artificial light there probably hitting with the building there. That's all I've got. I think it's a great picture. I absolutely love it. Very minor tweaking would be all I'd look at for this to make it any different, but I love the picture the way it is.
I'd like to comment if I could.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is an experiment for me that I wanted to get people's reaction to. This was taken with my iPhone 11 Pro, and they have what they call a Photoshop camera. That's an app that you can get with the iPhone, and with that you get, and it's all free, and you get what they're calling lenses, and there's dozens of them. One of them is called Night Shift, and that's what I used here. This was actually in the very early evening. It was hardly even dark yet. And what Night Shift did was put that whole sky and all the stars in there. So it's a unique program, but
Interesting.
I don't know. I played with it.
This is a cell phone picture.
Pardon?
Yeah.
This is a cell phone picture.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. The
Yeah,
one thing I was going to say is if you had a graduated neutral density filter, you could have turned it to the side to dim down those buildings just a little bit. But you can't do that with a cell phone.
Yes, you can.
Oh, I'm sure John's got a way.
Yeah, Yeah, I've been messing around with the cell phone for a while now, and I've been amazed at the quality of the shots. And I can blow them up pretty big too. They're pretty amazing.
Wow.
Okay, next is,
Look at my picture.
Oop.
That was a cell phone shot I took this afternoon.
oh, yeah,
Your flower you're in?
Yeah, it's a daffodil.
wow, it's pretty good. Okay, Foggy Dream by David Fox.
Boy, you know, this in black and white was a fantastic choice. I found that quite interesting, especially with the sky. It appears you're around the city, and at night, that can almost make the sky look like daylight. But you nailed it, giving it that darker gray look to it. And the fog on the river, I love that graininess underneath the bridge there. That makes that fog have a little more mystery to it. Of course, the technique was very interesting as well, because I don't know if it was the f-stop or if you used a star filter to get every one of those lights to have those flares on them like they do. And I really like that in this picture. That goes really well. It kind of takes the place of the stars in the sky where it's so cloudy. Nice diagonal in the composition. You have black blacks and white whites, and so you have a good dynamic range. I think this is a great shot. You nailed it.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we go on to Ghost of a Man by Alicia Erickson.
Like I said earlier, I love the long exposure and being able to play around and experiment. This was good job with the ghosting. I like the additional limb on the right arm there. The model is either really creative or bored standing still. I'm not sure which. Perhaps a little dodging and burning on the trees to kind of make a circle around, kind of like do some, what is the word I'm looking for? Vignetting to help draw the attention to where you want to go. Where you want the eye to go might help with that a little bit. I think it's a nice job with this picture. And the other thing would be by doing some of that dodging and burning, you see a little bit more of the details that are kind of a little bright with the how long that exposure was, but good job.
Okay, and now we have a Goodbye Comet Neowise by Dale DeBreeze.
I really like the sky you've got there, Dale. The comet, it kind of lends a scale to the size of the comet with so many tiny stars, and the fact that it looks like there's city lights in the background coming up and you can still see the comet. That's really good to me also. I thought there was an awful lot of light at the bottom. I didn't know if that was because you were using headlights to illuminate it, or you just had a flashlight that was a little too bright while you were light painting. But I just felt that should have been just a bit darker, because it tends to take my eye away from the comet. But boy, the technique to get detail in where that bright light is and still have nice detail in the sky, it works for me.
I was probably overexposing a light painting. Had a really bright flashlight.
Yeah.
And what I was trying to show with the comet too was the second tail. And I didn't really get a picture that showed the second tail at all. So
I had trouble with that the whole time it was here.
Yeah.
thanks, Stephen.
Good job.
Thanks.
Okay, and now we have Moonburst by Alicia as well.
Oh, that moon is bright. I love how you captured that, yet you still see the stars in amongst the starbursts there. Stars in the starburst. That doesn't sound as good as I said it. That moon grabs your attention, makes you look at it, and then and the starburst around it. Your eyes then follow the light back down to the trees. You get some amazing detail in that tree line. I lost my spot, my notes. And then as you slowly look around the perimeter, you're seeing more and more of the detail, that the tack sharp stars. It's just a perfect exposure, I think, with how that light kind of cascades down and takes your eye from the moon down to the tree line in the lower portion of the image. Good job. I really like this one.
Can I ask a question about this picture?
Please.
To the bottom to the left of the moon, there are two areas that looks like stars that are in a row. I was wondering if that's those satellites that they put up that follow each other.
Starlink?
Yeah.
Huh.
Anybody know? I've been getting those in my images a lot.
Interesting. I've not heard of that. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then the last, no, not quite. Next up is Night White by David Fox.
Okay. Boy, David, there was something about this picture I really liked, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I like the exposure of the trees with the snow in them like that.
Yeah.
And it looked like there was a bench at the bottom. And I really would have liked to have seen that bench better and maybe had a little bit more light on that bench. I think it would have added some interest to the image. It's a wonderful exposure. I mean, the fact that you have the bright white in the tree seems to, you can like see little bumps and clumps of snow in it, but yet you still have the black in the sky. So it just lacked the interest in the composition to me. I'd really like to have seen that bench more.
Yeah, Steve, you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's a wood pile. That goes for which I never use, the fireplace. The wood was there when I moved here.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the light off my pole barn. With my, this is I think the second day that I had my new iPhone 12 Max Pro, and I just leaned against the walk-in door sill and shot the picture and used the it's built-in anti-shake component, I guess. And
all right.
And this image is almost untouched. It's just basically right out of the camera.
When you took it, did you zoom it just a little bit, or?
Yeah, this has you can zoom the camera up a medium, but you got the plus 2.5. And so I could frame that. That's just about framed. I might have corrected the tilt a little bit so it was more straight vertical. Tree trunks, but yeah.
Even with it being a wood pile, I think just being able to see the bottom of the trees and what was down there would have done a lot for your composition.
Yeah, I also couldn't jump in that last picture of mine. That was shot on 4x5 film. That's a 4x5 exposure.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, and that was shot. It's I didn't even realize I still had that, and I've been scanning some of that work. And what that is 100 ASA T-Max pushed to 1600, and then developed for that. So that's why it has that fine. It's got a grain, but it's a very fine grain.
Yeah.
It just accents it beautifully.
It absolutely does.
Yeah, that's the Centennial Bridge going. You're standing in Davenport, looking over towards Rock Island across the Mississippi River.
Okay.
So.
Well, both
All right,
very
thanks.
nice. Yeah. Okay. Last of the assignment is Once in a Lifetime by Mike Eldridge.
Neowise. Apparently that's a theme tonight. We got a lot of Neowise, and I really like this picture because as you look at it, you can see that second tail off to the left streaming up. It's a little bit more blue and it's kind of faint, but it's there, and I love this capture. I love how smooth the water is from the long exposure. I like how there's not much star trails there and the stars are pretty tack sharp. And you know, the one, like I said all night, I'd like to see a little bit more dark or a little more black in there. But when you're playing around and trying to keep that tail in there, you might not be able to darken this image up at all to do that. But I think this is a great capture. I like this shot. Good job on this, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a nice one. Okay, moving on to the open category. Then we have Sign of the Times by Ann Kennedy.
You know, I don't know if it's really a sign of the times or not, but I really like that young man standing on the front of that cart. That's something you see every day, anytime you go in a grocery store. But he's got that shirt that says the Force on the front, and it makes me think with his mask and his mom's looking for wine. And it just made me think about the sign of the times. With COVID going around and mom is just like, oh man, the kids have been home too much and she needs some wine. And the kid's like, I can do this. And he's got his Force t-shirt. And you vignetted around the edge to get rid of some of that distraction of things that are on the shelves, the busyness of that will be there. I think that was a great use of the vignette. Yeah, it says exactly what the title is for.
Okay. Next up is Blau Hall by me.
By me, I mean Tim.
Yes.
Tim, nice job on this. I love the lines and the colors on this image. Overall, I really enjoy this shot. Now, I've been playing around trying to capture, you know, buildings and architecture, and I want to try to get into some real estate photography. And one of the things it was just bugging me on this is it looks like some of the vertical lines are straight and some of them are tilting out. So I pulled this one into my computer and put it into Photoshop and I'm playing around with it. And some of the lines are just off about 2 degrees, but it's not like it's just, I thought maybe it's the lens, but it's not just on the edges. It's all over. So I'm not sure what's going on with this and why that did it. I mean, we're talking very minor, but it was irritating me. And I couldn't figure out what was going on until I put it in. I moved that little guide along and there's a lens, something going on there.
Maybe. All I know is there were so many lines. It was very difficult to shoot.
There's a ton of lines.
I mean, they're going every which way, right?
They are.
And I cropped it down a little bit because there's another handrail off to the left, which you don't see. And there's a couple other lines that, you know, interfered even more. I did some minor tweaks on the perspective, but not a lot. So, but it took a little while of looking at it to really get it where I needed it, even after setting it up as best I could.
And like I said, it's 1, maybe 2 degrees. Some of the lines are off a little bit, which just blew my mind. It messed me because one is straight, then the one next to it is off just a little. I'm like, how is that happening?
Yeah.
So what focal length, what lens was that?
I was using my 24 to 85, and I was, I think, just a little below normal on it. I'd have to go back and look.
Yeah.
See what.
This is a perfect place to use a guided transform in Lightroom.
Yes.
You draw the lines, you pick the ones you want straight up and down, and
you can
twist
actually,
it that little bit that
you can actually
can't do by hand.
I didn't realize that.
Neither did I.
Yeah, that would be perfect for this situation.
Yeah. I mean, like Andy said, there's a couple that aren't off too far, but
Yeah, they're not, it doesn't take much.
Yeah.
And you could straighten it up.
yeah, interesting.
Yeah, the transform tool is real powerful.
Right.
Well, next up is me again.
We'll beat you up one more time, Tim.
Yeah, there you go. Titled Enter Here.
I don't think I'm going to beat him up so much. At first, when I looked at it, I thought, boy, that opening there where it says enter is bullseye, and the enter is down at the bottom, is in the center of the bottom. But when I look at the image, I go, well, wait a minute. that light area that draws your eye is a little bit off of the center. And I really like that about this image. And boy, you got amazing focus and detail all the way back in there. I zoomed in on that so I could see that in the back, and you can read that back there. That is really sharp. It's well exposed all the way through there, and you can see there's lights on the ceiling, and the lights aren't on. So you've got a great exposure in that. All that color is just really grabs your eye. It makes you just want to look at everything on those walls, all the graffiti. I want to know what it says. I think that's why I zoomed in on the back part, is because it just was so interesting to me.
Yeah, and that back area is actually open to the sky. So you
Okay.
get the light on it back there. So
I think that's just an excellent work on this one. Great job.
thank you. Okay, next up is fireworks, John Gill.
You know, the first question I have of any John Gill image, is that sky real? Were the fireworks really there, John?
Absolutely. It's one of the first digital images I ever took. When you get right down to it, it was back in Kalamazoo,
mess around,
15 years
mess
ago.
around with Luminar again on us and put a new sky with the reflection.
Nope, that is what happened right there.
Well,
that's awesome.
Now back to the serious part of the critique. I love how sharp those fireworks are.
Yeah.
The shutter speed was perfect to capture this shot. I can see where the stars in the sky yet. If you look, you can see a little bit of the smoke off to the right from where it was drifting away from the previous set that went off. I like that the longer you look at this photo, there's more and more details that start to appear. It took me a little while to see the people standing on the dock by the boat. It took me a little while to see that I can see some of the boards yet in the boat or on the dock. You can see some of the details in the boat yet, or in the boats, and then looks like there's a diving board or something on a dock out about halfway or about a third of the way up the image. You can see the leaves and the tree branches, and you can see the grasses and stuff in this image. That's probably not grass, it's probably willows. But it's just a great capture on this one. I love this. This is, to me, a really excellent example of a good night sky or good night image capture. Now that I know you didn't cheat and use Luminar on it.
Not on this one.
All right. Next, Four Gentlemen by Rochelle Stark.
Well, you know, I had to look at this one a long time. I really like the lighting in this. Because you've got it as a low contrast image, I would have liked to have seen a little more detail on that brighter flower, maybe a little bit more light, and keep the subtle lights more subtle on the outer ones. There's no real blacks in this, but I think that to me is an artist's choice. It lends softness to the flowers, gives them a little more of a glamour look to them. I wasn't going to say anything about titles, but to me the title doesn't fit this, but the title doesn't make the image. The image speaks for itself. So I really like it. It lacks some interest to me, or it doesn't grab my attention so much.
Fair enough. Okay. And then we have Frankfurt Light Under Assault by Jay Peterson.
No, we just had two panelists not that long ago say crop in more, crop in more, crop in more. Of this picture, I want to see more of that story. I want to see the wave that's crashing on the left there. I want to see some of the water that's crashing and going off to the right. I also want to see more of the water. That's what I just said. I want more of this story. I think this is a great image. I love the picture. but it's got me wanting more. And maybe that's part of what you were looking for, is that wanting people to look for more in that image. I think the focus is great on this. You can see the detail in the spray. The shutter speed was right, that you get a little bit of motion blur, but not so much that you can't see some of the individual water in there. And I like how the shadows and the highlights in the spray really gives some depth to what's going on with the wave action against the lighthouse. This is one of those times I disagree with the crop in, but it's a great image anyways. And it's, once again, like Joel said, not that long ago, it's what story you're looking as an artist trying to tell with it.
Yeah, well, there is a little story behind this that I should probably tell. I was at Frankfurt, and I was trying on a lens that I'd sent away to get repaired. But it was really windy, as you can see, and snowy, and I didn't want to go outside. So I took this picture from inside my car. And the stuff on the left here, on the lower left, is actually foliage on the shore.
Oh, wow.
I was really trying to see, does the lens really focus well at a distance? And I was, then when I saw this picture was pretty good, I was afraid that, oh, it's too bad it's got that foliage. But I showed it to my wife, and she said, no, that looks interesting. It looks like it might actually be, sand blowing up from the breakwater or something. So anyway, but I was a little constrained with how much bigger, how much I could have changed the crop, because I would have started getting the rear view mirror and my GPS and all that crap in it. So.
What I like is you can almost feel the wind in that shot.
Mm-hmm.
And this image has a lot of impact.
Yeah.
It's a great place to go when it's windy. It's got to be like 30 to 40 miles an hour wind, but it's terrific if you can get there for that.
Okay. Next up is Historic District, Brooklyn and Kennedy.
Oh, okay. When I looked at this one, the first thing I did was I saw it on the left-hand side, and I went, wow, that's pretty awesome building. But as I went down the building, it looked like more towards the right, it was tipping backwards, leaning into the image more.
Oh,
and I thought about how could I fix that if it was mine? And if I would have been taking the image, I may have tipped the camera a little bit to the left so that the building was more level with the ground, or the street was level with the bottom of the image a little more. Maybe that might have straightened it out, or maybe I might have done a panoramic and stitched it together to try to get that side to straighten out so it was more vertical. The other thing you can do is what we talked about earlier with Tim's picture, and in Photoshop, in Transform, you can straighten that out. I think it's I can't think of the name of it right now, but there's a thing you can do so when you're using a wide angle lens and you're close to it, it makes the image tip back, and you can straighten that out and then lengthen. It looks pretty darn nice. But boy, the technique you've got, the light that you have with the time of day gives shadows, so you can see all the curves and the designs above the windows and everything in this picture. I mean, all of that is great. The only thing is just the way the image was tipped back like that.
Can I jump in here a minute, Steve?
Absolutely.
It is a panorama.
Okay, so that didn't fix it. But these are things that I would have tried to get it to do it.
Well, I'll try Transform. I haven't tried that yet, but I did watch a video on it, so I will try that. Thank you.
You also find that Transform in Lightroom there.
Yeah.
Perspective crop. In Photoshop, it's called perspective crop.
That's
and
it.
You can straighten.
Yeah. In Lightroom, it's under the Transform, and there's a whole raft of types you can do, but the guided it'd be perfect for this.
I think it's called guided upright in Lightroom.
Guided upright. I have to look into that.
Thank you. I'll look for that.
We're all writing notes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
That's what this is all about though, right?
That means we all learned something, or a lot of us learned something tonight.
Exactly.
Okay, then moving on. Night Drive by Dennis Holly. Is that right?
I dive.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Night Dive. I'm reading that wrong.
My first thought was, what a creative image. It's fun to, it's a fun image to see, and far from what I expect to see for me to critique when I thought of a night photography. I had to stop and ask myself, what is Dennis trying to get across this image, and did he succeed? I think he was going for a fun, whimsical look, and that was if that was his goal, he succeeded. I absolutely love the playing around there. And what I really appreciate is some of the details that were put into the image. The weight belt on the tail of the shark.
Yeah.
The dive watch or dive computer on the front right fin. The little air bubbles that you see coming up around the image that were let out from the I can't talk. Regulator.
Yeah.
It's just a great. I love the image. It was a creative. I didn't expect it. It caught me off guard, and I'm speechless right now, which for me is very, very difficult to happen. So, great job with the creativity and capturing me off guard.
Okay. Next up is Old Faithful with Cecil Thomas.
Well, Cecil, this is one of those things I went, boy, that's a bullseye. But with the wind blowing on the water and it blows some of that mist off to the right, it does take the center of that image and moves it over a little bit. So it wasn't quite so bad. I really liked your time on your exposure because it lent detail to that spray as it was shooting up in the air, and it kind of shows the power of that when it shoots up there like that. I wondered about the contrast though. It looked like it needed maybe some more contrast. The way the spout going up kind of blends in with the clouds. I wondered if the contrast adjustment would fix that. You didn't have a lot of really blacks. There's a little bit down at the bottom left. It looks like some of the water running off, and a little bit in the trees in the back on the left. But you definitely have whites in that spout going up. You could put that on a postcard.
Yeah, really. Okay. Next is Old Mission Weather, John Gill.
First thing I thought when I looked at this picture is, wow, this isn't recent. Look how low that water is, the rocks and stuff you can see from out in Old Mission.
Yeah.
Then I had to think to myself, this was taken by John Gill. So once again, is that sky real, John?
The only thing not real in there is the lightning. I was messing with the new software. It said you can put lightning anywhere. You can.
You can.
So I would be a little nervous underwater if that lightning that close. So John, you got me on that one. I do appreciate for both what it is and the artistic look to it. I love the colors in the shoe. I missed an R. In the shore, you got the green, the variety of greens going up, then it goes into the blue sky. I think it's just really, really beautiful picture. And you got a little bit of the purple in the water. At least that's what I'm seeing on my screen.
Yeah.
I said a great capture of lightning, but as you just said, the one thing I thought may have been real was fake. So good job with the placement of the lightning. It looked realistic enough for me to go, maybe it's real. I love this shot. Now that I know you've faked the lightning, I'm not as thinking you're as brave as I thought you were.
Or stupid.
If there'd been lightning, I wouldn't have been there. I guarantee you that. There was some rain went by, but
That's
the
good.
lightning I made up.
Good job, John.
Okay, rainy night in Sorrento, Bill Mumford.
Oh, Bill, I really like this image. You know, your technique here to get the detail on the reflected streets and sidewalks is great, because I can also see in those buildings, in the windows, and see detail inside the store. So it's not because you have to have an exposure for the darker area outside, and you still got the bright area inside. I thought that was really great. And you can see up on the side of the buildings, up towards the top, you can see detail in that. And the thing that just kept my interest was the bricks in the street and the sidewalk. I just kept looking at those, and I'm assuming that's partly what draw you to take this image, especially on a rainy night. I normally try to avoid getting my camera wet. So I almost kind of wish there were more people, maybe on the same side as the camera side, maybe coming at you, but you can't get those things the way you want them all the time. I just really like this. The white balance is really great too, because I'm pretty sure those are incandescent lights and they're white. They're not orange. So good job.
This evening was a rainy evening, and the people we travel with they all are lamenting the fact that it's raining, and they're mad at me because I love it. You can imagine what that street would look like if it wasn't wet. You know, it would lose all the interest.
It'd lose all its lackluster.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody. Well, okay, moving on. We have Shadow on Colorful Tiles by Mary Pierce.
I want to start by saying this is not an image that I would capture. It's a little bit outside of my wheelhouse. I will also add that while I'm walking through an art gallery, I often stop and enjoy this style of photography or art. It's just something I really enjoy looking at. It's not something I can capture. This is, at first glance, you don't see all the details that are in this image. You're at least my eyes, get lazy and see the colors and the lines and then the shadow. And as I stopped and I looked at this picture a little bit more, I started to see some of the details in the grout lines. Now the image isn't tack sharp, and I prefer it that way in this particular image. I like that the grout lines, you're not seeing all the real sharp and jagged edges of the grout. It adds to the ambiance of that image. The only suggestion I would make is in the top of the image where the grout colors change. I find it a little bit of a distraction. Consider cropping that out, or maybe while you're taking this image, moving the camera back a little bit and lift it up and point the lens down. I want to see some of those painted artistic tiles in the bottom left a little bit more than I do want to see that different grout lines where it changed up above, it got lighter, and it just kind of distracted me from it. I think this is an amazing image. I absolutely love it. And I wish I was better at capturing stuff like this. You did a great job with this. Those are just little minor suggestions I would make.
Okay.
And like Dave said,
thanks, Andy. Thank you, Andy.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up is Red Baron, Dennis Holly.
Boy, what a fun photo, Dennis. I really like the sunset here, and I really like the photo of your airplane. I have to say, even though you masterfully put that airplane into the image, that it just doesn't fit the image. The light on the plane is from a different direction, and it seems a bit bright. Maybe it could have been darkened down a bit to maybe help it fit into the image better. But being from the wrong direction, it appears like the sun's coming from over your right shoulder onto the plane, but the sun's setting in the distance facing towards you. So that part is my biggest suggestion, because you have the light on the plane versus the light in the sunset, and the brightness of both the sunset and the plane are different. But it was a great, I mean, to look at the edges, you don't see any lines around the edges of the plane, and that was masterfully done to put that in there. The thing about it that maybe could be fixed is to try to find a way to get the, you know, a plane or something that has the light the right direction, and then dim it down just so it fits the image. I mean, other than that, it just, the two images don't go together. They're great images. They just don't match.
Okay. Next up is Welcome to Yellowstone by Rags Avery.
I'm going to start by saying I'm kind of mad Rags isn't here to hear this. I was disappointed that he put this image for critique night. I'd hoped to see more of the landscape from his trip out west. With that being said, I love this image. Its focus is sharp from the front almost the entire way back on the image. The trees, you start to lose focus a little bit, but you can still see some detail. You can see the individual strands of fur on the animal. I'm drawing a blank on what it is right now, and I wrote animal.
Buffalo.
Buffalo, thank you. Wow, this is one of those nights. Good thing I got notes. You can see the snow that worked its way into the fur. The eyes are really clear and bright. So technically this image is right on, and I love the shot. And unlike the other critiques, people said the other day about cropping, I want to see more of this story. I want a wider crop that shows a little bit more where this was taken. I want a tree. I want to see a little sky or maybe the mountains. You know, I want to see that story of this image. And once again, if that said, this is an amazing capture, and I love the picture. I just know where he was when he got these shots. And I wanted to see more from the area because his landscapes are amazing.
He's not here to hear this.
Thought he was going to be here tonight, but I don't think he showed up.
But
Okay.
it's being recorded and he can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was wondering if the object of this image was that face on that bison just looks really evil. It almost looks like
It does.
it looks like he put red in the eyes to make it look more evil to me.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit colorblind, but I see color in that eye that just with the horns and the shape of the face and the wool and the beard, it just looks like maybe Beelzebub, you know, and it just looks evil to me. And so I wondered if that's why he coned in so much on it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about evil, but he certainly looks stern.
Yeah.
The eyes look a little glaucomish or a little milky, like there's something going on with them when I zoomed in on it.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Mary Pierce's Woman on Textiles.
Oh boy, Mary, I really liked your technique here. The one thing I have trouble with when I'm photographing is reds. I have a hard time getting, especially here, you've got different colors that are blended together. So I have trouble getting the blues exposed properly when I have reds, because to get the reds exposed properly, then that changes what I'm doing with the blues. And so I think what you've got here is really good. I really like that. I would have liked to have seen it sharp all the way back through the image. Back in the back's a bit soft. And to add context to it, I wondered if we could see the whole person standing there. The one thing I was wondering about on this image was, is she just holding cloth up against her to see if she wants to make something from it? Or is that her normal, the normal clothes that she wears daily? because it kind of goes along with material that she's standing on there. And so I guess I would have liked to have seen more of that and the depth of field to be a little deeper. But man, I love those colors. The way you've exposed for that. You did a great job.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep. Okay, then last but not least, for Andy, we have a Yellowstone River by Rags Avery.
And that's what I wanted from Rags, right there. I love how the river draws your eye through the photo. Also like the light on the bank and on the trees on the right to help guide your eyes on a journey up the river. I love the composition, but I'm curious what else is happening on the bottom left of that picture where the white rapids capture my attention from time to time. I like the first rapids that have the underwater swirl in the bottom third of the image or close. It also works as an anchor to the image. I go back there and explore the image from there. I'm wondering how much post-production was done on this to get my eyes to go right to that waterfall or the rapids there in the middle with that little swirl of the water underneath. This is just an absolutely gorgeous capture. I love the detail. I love the focus. I love the sky. The only thing is the bottom left there, I see that white. My eye keeps going down to that, and I want to know what that is. There's got to be more to that.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the story right there. And it's a great picture as is anyways.
Andy, do you think a little vignette would have taken that white on the bottom left out a little bit, so maybe it wouldn't draw your eye there so much?
That could take that, yes. And like Jim just said, black and white would make this an amazing image as well.
Yeah.
I love this image. It's beautiful.
Very nice.
But is that rapids there, Steve? Just not on the bottom left, just kind of a little distraction?
Just a little bit. And that's
Okay.
why I wondered about a vignette.
So it's not just me then.
No.
But I love this shot. I wish the other one had been a landscape as well, because I'm kind of jealous of where he is and what he's seen.
Yeah, I'm pretty jealous of that too.
Okay, well, I need to stop sharing. And there we are. It was a shorter night, but I think it was a great night of photos. Say thanks to Steve and Andy for reviewing everything.
Thank you.
You guys are welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Good job.
I don't know.
Great job, everybody.
Yep.
Yep.
I
Some
think we need
beautiful
more
images.
cell phone photography. There's some great pictures in there.
Yeah, I got a couple notes for a couple things from tonight's stuff. This is good.
Yeah.
That is good. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Yep. All right,
Learn
everybody.
and grow. Yeah.
You want me to email you with the rest of this, Tim, later?
Yeah, if you would email me your choices for President's Award, and same with you, Andy.
Yep.
and I'll get them out for a vote.
All right.
All right.
All right, night, everyone.
Good
Night,
night.
Take care.
everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Night,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Good Mary Ellen.
Good job.
Stay safe.
So Ann?
Yes, well, here we are.
Here we are. So no rags, so I guess we'll wait for another time.
Okay. I
yeah,
think
I
I
don't-
get an email back that he would connect, but
Yeah, he must have either been in a spot without much internet or who knows.
yeah,
Yeah.
could be a
In any
time
case,
difference. You
I don't
know.
think it was anything real urgent anyway.
No.
So,
Okay, that's great.
yeah.
I had one question though.
Yeah.
When you start, do you